What's up, Ramblers? Your favorite CEO is back. And before we begin today's podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. And follow Assistance HQ and Offsource HQ across all platforms to stay up to date on the latest content, updates, and more. And remember, if you need a virtual assistant, visit us at offsource.tech. Now, before we begin, a word from our sponsor. Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Ramblings. I'm your host, Angela Roberts, and today we have us Sarah. She is the owner of 96 Notion. She's a business owner and extraordinaire, tailor, designer, amazing stuff. She's actually the lady who went viral on Twitter for her sweatsuits.
Yes, that was amazing.
So Sarah, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So hello everyone, I am Sarah at SMD Season on Twitter. My brand is 96 Notions. I started it probably when I joined the military. So I've been doing it for a while, but I just kind of started taking it serious to where I'm like, okay, I have to get this stuff done. I want it everywhere. I want everyone wearing it. So it's been a very interesting journey for sure with this brand.
Wow, I didn't even know you were in the military. That's a quick little drop. So you started in the military. I don't think they have much time to be designers and everything out there with the schedule. How did you come up with this during the military?
Okay, so a fun story is I actually ended up getting stationed in South Dakota as a jet mechanic. And so there's not a lot of malls or stores where I got stationed. And so I just found everybody wearing the same thing. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go into Charlotte Russe and be wearing the same. So that's ghetto. So I was like, I'm gonna just start making stuff, because as a kid, like my mom had bought me a sewing machine. So I knew how to, finesse little stuff and do little things. And so I was just like, I'm gonna just start making stuff for me. But then my friends would see it and be like, yo, that's fly. Like, I want something, like making things for people's birthdays for them to wear. If people just want to go out, believe it or not, there are clubs. Like, there are clubs out there. So people wanted to outfit
parties.
It was crazy. It's so fun. But like, yeah, so I would just start making things for people. And then I was like, I really want to do this. Like, this is fun. But then it was like a transition period of me moving. So for a long time, I stopped making clothes. Like, I was just not making clothes. And so it was like, I think it was like once I got out the military, I was like, I don't want to work for anyone else ever again. Like, that cannot be a thing. I'm good. And so I really started making clothes, like drawing out designs and just different stuff like that.
Oh, so you started with all the way down to like the drawing details of it first. Did not even just popping in, making it, like kind of going off based ideas and everything. So you said you were stationed in South Dakota, right?
Right.
So is it safe to say that this is a South Dakota brand?
Oh, no. No, sir.
Where are you originally?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh.
Oh, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Let's go.
Okay.
I like that. Okay.
Well, we friends. I like you.
Okay, so you're from Pittsburgh, stationed in South Dakota, went to the military, very, very young, very successful, very young, right? So how do we get from jets and mechanics to schematics for everything?
So I'm actually like an artist too. Like, I know how to draw. So pretty much as a kid, I was just always that artistic kid. Like, in high school, I got to do the senior mural on the lunch wall and stuff like that. So I've just always been very artistic. Love making things, working with my hands. So I think it came pretty natural to me to be like, okay, well, I can make clothes too. Like, it's kind of easy. Like, you can teach yourself, but it does take time. So you have to have a lot of patience for sure. Like, it doesn't just come overnight.
Okay. And so how did you, so how do you become a jet mechanic? I want to know that, like, because you have it sewing, like, we're starting to fill in pieces now. We're sewing machine as a kid, liking to draw, liking to be very artistic, very creative, and then shipped off to the Army to be a jet mechanic in South Dakota. Was this for you? Was it something that you chose to do? Did you want to be a mechanic? Did you want the skill? What were you thinking? What was your little bit of life path history on that?
So in high school, you know, it was probably like my junior year, and my parents were on me like, you know, figure out what you want to do, figure out what you want to go to school for. And, you know, I'm a junior, so I'm like, I'll figure it out senior year, mom. It's fine. Like, you can relax. But then senior year came, and it was like, oh, wait, I still don't know what I want to do. So I was just like, okay, well, I want to own a business. I didn't know what kind of business at the time. I was like, I don't know. I just want to like own a business or do marketing because I like to like come up with concepts and ideas for things. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do business marketing. And so, you know, I'm getting scholarships for different colleges, but my parents are like, no, they're not giving you enough money. And I'm like, well, do you want to tell them that they're not giving us enough money? Because I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, mom. And, you know, they were just like, no, because you should have figured this out already. And I'm like, telling them like, I want to go for business marketing, but, you know, they're like, there's not really any money in that. And I'm just like, okay, you say so.
Okay.
I suppose. And so my grandfather was in the army. So he was like, you know, she's very intelligent. She got a good score on her ASVABs. So junior year, they had us take the ASVAB. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what this test was, but I took it because they told us we had to take it.
You took a, okay, pause, breakdown. This is where I'm sorry to cut you off. I already apologize.
No, you're fine.
So you went to go take a test that you had no idea what it was. And you said, let me go take this test. I'm gonna go take a test. I don't know what this test is, but I'm gonna take
Yeah.
it. I like learning so much that I'm gonna go take an extracurricular test.
That's literally like, so they took us, they were like, okay, you guys all have to go take the ASVAB. And we're like, what is that? What are you talking about? Like, nobody knew what it was. They're like, oh, you know, it's just an aptitude test, like kind of like the, what is it, like the PSAs or whatever. But it's just to see like how much you know about different stuff. And so I'm just taking this test, like, I don't know what none of this mechanical stuff is, but I'm gonna fill it out though. Like, I'm gonna just try to figure it out and do as good as I can. And I ended up getting an 88 on it. And I guess that's like a pretty high score on the ASVAB. Like, I guess the average score is like a 50. And so, you know, they were like, oh, you did really well on your ASVAB. You should go to the Air Force, you know, because you're intelligent, whatever. So I was just like, okay, I guess if I have to, because there was really like, I didn't know what else to do. So I was like, okay, sure, let's do that. And so they ended up giving me, the funny thing is I wasn't supposed to be a jet mechanic. I was supposed to be a refueler, like somebody that refuels the planes in the air. And so that job didn't leave for like a year, but I wanted to get out. Like, I was like, no, for a year, I have to wait a year to leave. And I was like, I have to wait a year to leave. I don't want to do that. So they were like, well, there's a job that leaves in 2 weeks. And that's what the jet mechanic job was. So I was like, I'll take it, not knowing what I was getting myself into.
What did you get yourself into as a jet mechanic?
Some shenanigans. Some shenanigans is what, so I had to work in like any type of weather possible, like sleet, snow, rain. It could be 90 degrees outside. You still got to be outside working on these planes. And you're just like, bro, I just want to go.
90 degrees in South Dakota?
It does. It gets really hot there. That's the crazy part. Like, South Dakota is like very extreme weather. Either it's really hot or it's really cold. And you just kind of have to thug it out.
Okay. So we've gotten some history and got some backstory, right? So how would you say that has shaped and formulated how you do business?
It definitely helped with keeping your cool when people talk to you a certain way. You can't just reply to things how you really want to. So you have to learn how to talk to people, especially with me being in the military. I was like, in my group, I was the only Black one. I was the only girl in like every station I went to. So I'm the only Black person. I'm the only woman. And so they gave me a harder time than anybody else. And I can't just snap, because then, you know, you get the title, oh, the angry Black girl, she always got an attitude, this and that. And so I just really had to teach myself, okay, just calm down, talk slow, don't get too mad. And especially with, you know, because of my brand, because I do everything for my brand, like customer service, shipping, everything, like I do everything myself, I have to have so much more patience, because people don't understand that it's actually kind of hard to do all of that. And people are very impatient. Like, everyone wants instant gratification. Like, everyone wants your stuff now. So I have to tell them, like, yo, I make this stuff by hand. Sometimes things will go wrong. And it's hard for me as one person to like, now I have to backtrack. I have to stop working on this and go fix it. So it's a lot of things, like there's delays, you know, it's just crazy. It gets crazy, honestly.
Okay. So we love stories here. It's always story time here at the Ramblings. That's why it's called the Ramblings. We talk. So what is the most hectic or the most audacious customer that you had to deal with? Like, what's the craziest scenario?
So I would say I had one customer, he had ordered like a do-rag or something, right? And I shipped it off. So he had, I'm sorry, this is just cutting up. So he had his his tracking number and things like that. And so he's looking at the tracking number and they're telling him, they don't know, or like it's in transit, but it's not moving. You know what I mean? So it's stuck in one of these facilities. And so he messages me like, "Where's my stuff?" And I'm like, "How are you? What's your name? Like, what's your order? What are you talking about?" And so he's like, "Oh, my do-rag is still wherever." And I'm like, "Well, sir, you would have to call the post office about that. I don't work for them. I don't know. I have once it leaves me, that has nothing to do with me. I can't do anything about that." And he's like, "Well, how don't you know where your own product is?" And I'm like, "Sir, I don't work for the post office. I'm a mailman. I'm a mail carrier.
Right.
I don't know what you want me to do.
I have the same information as you."
Exactly. Like I have to click on the link to see where it is, just like you. So I was like, "You should probably call them, see where it is." So I get a lot of stuff like that. That stuff is frustrating when like a lot of people don't take time to read. So I could send there's times where I've like sent people a link and they're like, "So where's my order?" And I'm like, "Did you click the link?" And they're like, "No." You should probably click the link. You should probably click
That
the
would be
link.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah. So, but I actually deal with that's very like not rare, but there's more people that are so patient and so kind than like those type of people, the really rude people, you know what I mean? And so a big thing too, so I deal with like a lot of depression and anxiety, and it gets kind of bad to where like I can't get out of bed, like I can't get out of bed to do anything at all for like days at a time. And that really messes with business, and people don't know that because it's not even like I'm just not trying to do y'all stuff. It's like I physically can't even do anything for myself. You know what I mean? And they don't know like behind the scenes, like that's what I'm dealing with. But I can't like it just feels uncomfortable to have to tell everybody like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying not to." So
Right.
I'll get back to you guys.
So we have people in that kind of actual situation now that listen to it. I know certain friends of mine listen to it. What is some of the advice that you'd give to people that are either trying to achieve something, or be a business owner in this particular case? And especially feel free to relate it specifically to Black women, because that you guys have a much different and harder toll than a lot of other people, and probably the hardest. And so that definitely then plays a big role in how people deal with things mentally, everyone being relatively the same. And so the issues that you're facing are probably going to also translate to being able to help other people. What is something or advice that you'd give for someone that is trying to strive to work through something or achieve a particular goal?
One big thing for me, that I would definitely say to other Black women is if you're striving to do something, there are going to be so many people that are jealous of you but will mask it as something else. And it's because for whatever reason, when Black women are doing good, people do not like that. And I won't there was a time I just made a t-shirt. It was like a simple t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like I painted it with bleach and it came out really cool. It was like a Malcolm X design. Went viral. But there was just so many people like that's ugly. That's I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't. So why did that was just my response. Why didn't you do it? And it was just kind of like you'll see other people's t-shirts where it's just like a picture of a celebrity that they, put a filter on or something like that. And then when it's a man, because it's like mostly men who do that, it's like, "Oh, bro, this is so fire. This is so dope." And you're just like, so as a Black man, you're gonna get a little bit more hate than everybody else. Like realistically, don't nobody want to see you do good. We're kind of people always put us like below everybody. So like white men, white women, Black men, and then us. That's literally how it goes. Like how people view us. And so it's like we have to work harder than everybody all the time. And so I guess my advice would be kind to yourself. Like you really have to be kind to yourself during this whole thing and just have patience with yourself because you're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna want to give up. You're gonna be like, "Bro, I don't even want to do this anymore." but you can't do that. You really just have to stick through it and just remember, like, if you got like 2 or 3 people that's rooting for you, hey, only talk to them 2 or 3 people until you get where you need to be. And another piece of advice is, like, if you're not in a relationship when you start doing this, don't get in one. Stay focused on, like, live.
I agree with that 100%. That is advice of the century. Like, oh my God. And yeah, continue. Yeah, that's that.
Please listen to me. I promise you, stay single if you are just starting yourself. Like, if you're just starting and you're really trying to buckle down and get yourself together, do not get in a relationship at all.
At all. Especially if you're like really buckling down, because people will make it seem like you're ignoring. Like, no, like we have things to do.
I'm working. I'm sorry. And then a lot of times, so this has actually happened to me twice, right? So in the 3 years I've been doing this, I was in like 2 different relationships. And both of these people were kind of like, the only word I can really think of is kind of like envious of, you know, what I was doing, because I started getting like so much more attention on social media, like different people like, oh, that's fly. You know, I have like different little like celebrities and stuff that follow me, that have hyped my clothes up, that have worn my clothes, that have posted my clothes, like different rappers, TV personalities and stuff like that. And so they kind of like didn't like that in a way. And so while I'm getting all this congratulations from everybody else, I'm not getting it from them. And it's like, it's cool to get it from everybody else, but I want to hear that from you because you're the person I'm with. So I want to know that you're like, yo, like, you with me, right? Like, we here. But there's just kind of like, there was a day, the day one of my t-shirts went viral, the guy I was talking to at the time ignored me the whole day. Like, did not speak to me, didn't say congratulations, nothing. So I was just like, okay, I guess. And it was kind of, like, the relationship started to take a toll to where, like, you know, when your emotions get involved in stuff, now I don't want to be making clothes while I'm sad. I don't want to be crying all over people's sweaters and stuff like that. So it really affected to where if I have to be in the right mindset to make clothes. And so this person affecting my emotions is messing with my money, and I cannot have that, because now I can't make stuff how I'm supposed to make it because you over here acting a fool and doing too much. You know what I mean? Even like just recently, I had to go through like somebody just like completely just like flip my whole world upside down, and it just messed up everything to where I could not focus on clothes because I was just so mad. Like, it was just, it's very stressful to try to be in a relationship and be a business owner when you don't have their support.
So
it's very frustrating.
And that is that piece of advice right there. Like, I'm gonna amplify that one, because like it's something because people like it's, and everyone has different experiences and their issues of it. But I think for me, one of the big things in terms of dealing with relationships and being a business owner is the time it takes to actually do it, and the respect that you get when you do it, because you're not making as much, you're spending like hours on end, and they don't really see what you do as a legitimate job. Almost, it's almost like, you know, oh, you're just kind of sitting home and you just make clothes. Like, making clothes, if I was in a sweatshop, you wouldn't say that, but I'm in my own sweatshop. I mean, I reap the benefits of it, but I'm still doing the exact same labor as someone who would be in, you know, a different situation that would be working for someone else, right? And so I think that ability to that energy you have to give, the time, the money, the mindset that you're in, you know, you're not always out partying and stuff like that. You know, it can take a toll on someone who's not in that same mindset, which can create a lot of friction, at least in experiences that I've had.
For sure.
But what is now, because I like to always keep things positive, switch over to like a more positive thing. What is the win that kept you going? Because there's always that point in time where we get and we're like, hey, nah, this is going. What was your switch?
The switch had to be, it was probably like the most recent one, because I was already going through a lot, you know what I mean? My grandma was like, so my grandma had passed away in like October, and for her, she was just so proud of me making clothes. Like, my mom really wanted me to go to nursing school. You know, everybody wants me to be a nurse. Like, yo, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't even like dealing with people. So why would I do why would I do that? So my grandma was just like, I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? And, you know, I can't wait to see you on like New York Fashion Week one day when you really get into it, start making things. And I like when she passed away, it just kind of was like, bro, I can't even quit now. Like I can't. Like now I have to make it somewhere. Like even if it's not New York Fashion Week, like I have to do something because there's no way I would just let her pass away thinking that I was gonna do something big with my clothes and then let her down. And it was kind of like a little bit after that, there's a rapper, his name's B Dot, from Cali, and he wore one of my pieces, and it was just so crazy because like he's also a battle rapper, so it was like to one of the big events, and everybody's like, yo, I've seen that somewhere, and people started tagging me like, yo, he's wearing your stuff, like he's like I don't know if you know the app Caffeine, but it's like a big broadcast.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they be doing like because I follow Arsenal the Rebel as
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was on like something like that, like a platform. Like he has a big platform on IG. He has like 30, 40,000 followers or something like that. So he's tagging me in this stuff like, yo, this is who made it, and everything just started booming. And I'm like, no way. He's like, yo, I support you. Your stuff is so cool. He gave me a shout out in one of his interviews, and I'm just like, bro, this is so amazing. It was like so surreal. And then like that's when like so many orders started coming in, and it was just like, wow. But then it was kind of like it was like bittersweet because so I'm getting all of this, and at the time there was a different person I was talking to. We weren't speaking, and it made me a little mad because it was like, so I started getting all this recognition, and then all of a sudden, he posted, oh, I'm so proud of her, whatever. And I'm just like, you've never said that to me before, but now I'm getting all this recognition. Now you're just so proud of me. And stuff like that starts to play on your mental. And you're just like, bro, what?
Yeah, like where were you? Where were you before? Wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
Exactly. So you're just like, but you have to learn to kind of like block that stuff out. That's why I said, yo, if you're really trying to get to it, like if you're not super established yet, you're not getting a relationship. You're gonna deal if they're not supportive, you're gonna deal with stuff like that, and it's just gonna mess you up.
Wow, that's a long story right there. Like in a short time, a lot of events going on, right? Definitely. And so you're selling out. I checked your website before we did this hit, and I'm like, okay, maybe I might get something. I'm doing coming up. It's the beginning of the month. I like to shop at that time. So I was like, oh, I might grab, but I'm like, it sold the freak out.
That's a cool feeling. That's a super cool feeling. But it's very stressful because so I just went into this like depressive mode for literally probably I'll say almost 3 weeks to where I wasn't doing anything. And so I didn't even have the energy to tell people like, things are going to be delayed, nothing like that. And so people obviously, rightfully so, people get impatient like, yo, where's my stuff? Like, what are you doing? But for me, it's just like when I'm in that mode, I don't care about anything. So now I'm working like double time trying to get people's stuff out to them because I don't want them to think like, oh, she's a scammer. Like, no, bro, I do this by myself. I really just be in my house, in my bed, like sad. I can't do anything. I'm sorry. So now I'm working double time. And there's people that are super understanding about that. And they're like, yo, I can't wait to order the next thing. And so that kind of gives you that motivation where it's like, yo, I got to get this stuff out. Like people still waiting, even though it's taking me forever. Some people understand, having my friends that'll like call me like, yo, I just showed like all these people your website. When are you going to have this and this back? Or I need this and this. So it really just gives you that motivation. Like, okay, I got to get back into it because stuff is selling out. And I don't know, you get kind of nervous like, yo, what if nobody likes this? Like, what if nobody likes this? And it's just this. But it's like rarely does that happen. So that's always a cool feeling.
Okay, that's really amazing then. So what was the first post that sold you out? Or what was like the first viral post? Because you said you've gone viral a couple of times, right? What was the first viral post that gave you some kind of like monetary traction?
I want to say,
how long did that take?
The first thing I posted was probably, I made a pair, it was like in 2000, was it 16? Maybe like 2016, 17. I had made a pair of overalls, overalls, like the jean ones, like the jean jumpers. So I made a pair of those out of sweatpants material. And they were just like super comfortable. I don't know why I made it, but I was just like, I feel like this would be comfortable. And I still wear it to this day. So I made that and people were like, is that sweatpants material? What? And by this time, I didn't have a website yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so people saw that. They're like, yo, I want one. So it was like probably 10 different people that wanted it. But I didn't have a website, you know, and I didn't know about measurements and stuff. Yeah, I would just measure myself so I could, you know, figure out. And that was like the first time I went viral, but also the first time I kind of like failed because I didn't have measurement. I didn't know how to take measurements. So I'm like trying to figure that out and then make things and then send it out to people. And they're like messaging me back once a year, like, yo, this doesn't fit. Like, yo, the button came off. Like, yo, this and this happened. I'm just like, oh no.
I don't want to start off on a bad foot.
Yes, I was just like, oh man. So basically, you know, I refunded those people and I just kind of had to take a step back and be like, okay, I need to learn about sizing. I need to learn about fabrics, tensions, you know, how to put stuff together. Because I can't just be giving people anything. Now they out here like, girl, you scamming people. What is this? Like, I don't want that. So that was like the first time I went viral, the first time I failed, and I had to learn from that.
How did you go viral? Because I asked the question because like a lot of people, like the reason I asked is because I was hoping it would be like a year, but you went viral for like immediately almost.
So I already had like a little bit of a following because people just thought I was funny, which is, I don't know, I never understood why people thought I was funny because it was like I would really just tweet stuff that I was thinking. But I also, so before I wasn't as what's the word, like refined as I am now, like with the way I speak on Twitter. So I used to like roast people or get into arguments and like, you know, say like funny little slick stuff. And that's kind of how I gained the following. But I was like, I don't want to really be that person anymore because I don't even like talking to people. So I already had a little bit of a following and I would start posting, you know, just little tiny things that I knew how to do. Like it was just little pieces of art and stuff that I would do. And people were like, wow, that's fly. So they would see, and I always try to make something new that you haven't seen. That's just not like, oh, I can just go to the mall and get that right now. And so when I made that, people just started seeing it like, yo, is that sweatpants material? And the big thing about going viral is like, if somebody quotes your thing, retweet it. Like always retweet it and reply because more people are going to see it. And so that's something I had learned is like, the more you retweet it, the more other people see it on their TL because whoever was on Twitter 2 hours ago might not be on there right now. So there's going to be somebody else. So I would just always keep retweeting my stuff so that people could see it. And then it just started getting bigger and more people were just retweeting like, oh, that's so cool.
How does it, I've never been viral before. I've done a lot of things to try, never gone viral. What does it feel like? What's the feeling of like having 22,000 Twitter followers and like 10,000 retweets on tweets?
So at first, you know, you get super geeked about it. Like the first time it happened, you're like, yo, like this is crazy, really. But after a while, you just, and it's not even like to be cocky or anything, but you're just kind of like, okay, because it comes with more people saying negative things to you too for a reaction. And one thing about me, I used to give people that reaction, like you say something crazy to me, now I'm gonna say something back. But people like that because now it's giving them that attention. So I had to learn to stop doing that. So after a while, you just kind of like, you just start muting the tweets because you get tired of it. You get tired of people just giving their unsolicited opinion on something you did or said. And you're just like, I don't care. Stop talking to me.
Definitely understandable. Definitely understandable. So I've had you for a pretty good time. I'm actually enjoying this. That's why I've been doing this for a while. I actually do want to ask you, as a designer, as someone in product, you know, it's different than service. There's always like the thought of what's next. Like, what's your next big line? But I'm not going to ask you what your next big line is, right? Because that's obvious. What is your next big idea?
Oh, my next big idea. Let me see. So I have all of this in like in a sketchbook, but I never look at the sketchbook because people will love the old design so much, like stuff I've been making literally for 2 years. People keep asking me to bring it back, so I never really get to do it. So that gets frustrating. But I really want to make jackets. Like that was originally. So my first designs that I did in South Dakota were jackets. Like it was like 2 t-shirts and jackets because I love making jackets. So, and one of my biggest sellers, I sold a jacket for like $1,100. It was a Kobe tribute jacket. Yeah, it was a jean jacket. It was a black jean jacket.
Oh my God!
It was crazy. Yeah, I had auctioned it off.
Designer.
I was only making like one, right? So I was like, I've never seen a jean jacket with satin on the inside, like lined with satin. And that's a big thing. I don't know why, but I love
it. Was lined with satin.
Yeah, it was
You
really
gotta
cool.
make another one of those. That sounds hot right there.
Yeah, it was a black jean jacket. It had a purple satin on this side, gold satin on this side, and then a big embroidered black snake on the back, you know, Mamba. And I had distressed the letters Mamba over
And
top
it
of
was a
it.
Kobe.
Mm-hmm. And I had gotten patches and pins to put on the front, and it was distressed. It was really cool. Like, it was so cool, and so many people wanted it, so I had to auction it off. And there was this one girl who actually has a brand too. I love her to death. She's the sweetest girl ever. Her name's Gabby. Her brand is oh, I feel so bad. I cannot remember, because it's like heart of the mind, or mind of the heart, or something like that. And she was like, she bought it like for $1,100. I was like, oh girl, you got money.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be able to purchase that, but I mean, that's
Yeah, people were bidding on it.
out there.
It was like the highest bid was like 300, and then she was like, a man was like, oh, 1,000, and she was like 1,100, and I was like, oh, she said 1,100.
That is big balls and fighting over your stuff right now.
That was super cool. That was like the coolest thing ever. And then people started wanting custom jean jackets, but then I want to say that was like around the time, that was actually around the time my grandma passed away. I had actually sold that jacket, I want to say the day before her funeral. That jacket sold out for $1,100. And so I was super excited, but then more people started wanting them, and I just couldn't do it. Cause I don't know why, but something in my mind was just like, bro, I'm sad. Like, my grandma couldn't even see me sell this, bro. I'm so sad. I don't even want to make no more jackets. So, but yeah, so the next things I will be doing is jackets, because I have so many different ideas, and I just can't wait to make them.
So is it going to be a line of $1,100 jackets?
Oh, see,
no one bought it for that much.
And you're right. And something that people always tell me is like, you sell your stuff too cheap. But for me, I always wanted to be affordable. Like, I don't feel right telling people like, oh yeah, this jacket's $300. But like the people around me that are really close to me, they'll be like, dude, what?
Because they pay more for that. They pay I mean, it depends on really what you're trying to do, obviously. Like, if you're going to be like, you know, a designer, you can go almost like as expensive as you want. And at this particular point, people have paid designer prices. So you can easily be, you know, the Black excellence queen of designer and things of that nature. But what do you want to do? You said affordable, but what's the range? Like, can I afford your clothes?
Oh, absolutely. So I want to say hoodies, they start at like $65, because my hoodies are like, they have the satin lining in them. And obviously I make this stuff by hand. Like, I don't have a factory that puts the satin in them for me and like puts my brand on them. I literally have to cut all the stuff out and do it. So I would say the most expensive hoodie on my site is like $150, and that's because it has fur on the inside of the hood. Yeah. So, but other people are like, what? Like, Virgil would have made somebody pay $300 for this, and I'm like, okay, right. Well, I'm not Virgil, so
no, you could be better than Virgil. Like, have you seen this man's sneakers? He consistently disappoints with very, very basic stuff. He took eggshell and put it on a sneaker and then zip tied it. He's not that creative. Did you see Drake's plane? It's the sky.
Nice. I didn't see that. I didn't know any of this. That's so
yeah.
crazy.
No. I am not a fan of Virgil Abloh. I respect him. I respect all the people that are Black entrepreneurs. I would never diss a Black entrepreneur. Let me not say never. But it's just something about his designs that are just.
The word is
airport. Like, it's like, what.
He just kind of does anything.
What effort did you put in? Like, if that's effort, like you feel me? Like the jackets you said you designed, jean jacket, satin inside, that's different, multicolor, like design effort, right? You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of feel like he'd be in there chilling and like slightly tweaking stuff. He looks at his shoes and is like, how can I make this look a little different? Like, he'll inverse the colors and be like, voila.
I feel like he has like a dartboard. He just throws a dart and like, I'll put that on there.
Sweet. You see, yeah. And he's not even making his own stuff. So I definitely think that you are being up there, you know, might have a little fancy line coming. I hope.
You know, maybe I just have to. because I'm always so worried about people being like, oh, I'm not buying that, that's too expensive. But at the same time, it's like, then that's just not the audience that you're catering to. You're catering to people who can and will pay for expensive stuff. Like, you know, I'm sure like Roddy Ricch, he probably got a jacket that's worth $700, but somebody else would be like, I'm not paying $700 for a jacket. So it is what it is.
Exactly.
So I
people go broke for those jackets. People cannot afford Canada Goose and still will go get Canada Goose.
Right.
That's like, I think they're like $1,100, like $1,200 on like a low end jacket, like at standard. Like, I think you could definitely, especially on like the customized ones and things of that nature, or because you're doing it by hand, it's quality work. You could definitely charge easily, 12, 13, 14, 1,500 for the jacket. Satin, like
same. So, yeah.
So I've had you up here for a while. I'm not gonna keep you up here long. I like to keep things, nice, short, and sweet. And attention span's not long these days. So before we go, I always like to ask people, to leave off on a selfish promotion, right? Whatever you have coming, if you have any events coming, if you have new lines dropping, promote the hell out of whatever you have going on, right? The next thing I always like to ask is, what is one piece of advice? It doesn't have to be the best piece of advice, but what is one thing you would really want to convey to small business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs before you head out?
So what I will say I have coming is more, it's about to be summertime, so I'm gonna have a lot more satin pieces, but outside satin pieces. Satin shorts is like one thing I love to make. I have there's satin luxury shorts is what I call them. So I'm gonna have more of those coming out, sets for women. And one piece of advice I would say is to really take care of yourself. Like, before you worry about people's orders and people, if your mental is not right, if everything's gonna feel like it's falling apart, or that you're not doing enough, or that everything's going wrong, or that even though you are successful, like you're being successful, you're not gonna feel it. And it just feels like you're going through emotions. So I would always say, like, take care of your mental health first, because if you don't have that, everything's just gonna crumble. Like, no matter how much money you make, you're not gonna care about it.
Love that. I know I said I was going to be done. I'm going to ask one final question.
No, you're fine.
But wait, there's more. That's me. So where did the name 96 Notion come from?
So that is a very funny story. So the original name of my brand was going to be Yo no sé. So that means I don't know in Spanish, because I didn't know what I wanted to name it. Like, I really couldn't think of a name. And my friend was like, why would you name it that? Like, well, don't name it that. I was like, bro, I don't know what else to name it. And so the word notion means ideas. And 96 is the year I was born. So one thing I really liked is how baggy their clothes used to be back in the day, and like all the colors. I love different colors in the things I make. So I was like, okay, well, 96 notions. I had to keep saying it for it to grow on me, because at first it didn't sound right. I was like, I don't know if I like that. But then some of my other friends heard it and they were like, yo, that sounds cool. I like that. So I was like, well, then 96 notions it is.
There we go. That is the full story. We are so glad I said glad, that's not a word, guys. We're happy to have you. Glad that you were able to come onto the podcast. Everyone, I'm sure, had an amazing time, and we'll have rewind. This I'm sure is going to be like a rewind episode that people love. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. And we hope that we're able to have you back on your next line.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was so awesome.
Hey Ramblers, that's it. Podcast is over. Don't leave yet though. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and follow us on YouTube at OffSource HQ. We'll see you next time.